Starting us off this morning is Caddo Parish Sheriff Steve Prator. Hey, Mr. Steve, welcome back to KEEL. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good, Steve. It's a tough day when you guys are back out on the water. You're looking for a downed plane. Tell us how this all started. When you guys got notified, what happened?
Well, it was shortly after 10:30 yesterday morning, and we were notified that the federal folks had lost the airplane on their radar. This airplane had called in. It was having some engine trouble and was circling back around from where it was going, and almost made it back to where it started, and they lost radar sight of it. And so that's when we all began. The Caddo Sheriff's Office, Bossier Sheriff's Office, and the state police, all the fire departments, some private citizens and others that knew about this began a intensive search. On the we used four-wheelers, we used trucks, boats, airplanes, drones, everything that you can imagine to try to locate this plane as quickly as we could.
Mr. Steve, when, to use your phrase, when they lose a plane,
okay,
you've got a pretty big area, right? I mean, what kind of information does the the controllers give you to help point you in the right direction?
Well, the last longitude and latitude is what we key on. The last time that they had a blip on their radar, and the directions they were traveling in at that particular time, and that's where we start. Of course, when it gets down to a certain height, a certain altitude, then they can't see it anyway. So it could go a long way from there. At first you think, how, in our area, how could you lose something like an airplane? But when you think about it, an airplane is very, very small, the ones we're talking about, compared to the ones you see on television.
Mm-hmm.
And we have so much rural area and just really, really dense woods and water that, a plane that doesn't stand that high anyway could be submerged in. So there's a lot of areas that have to be searched, and so it's a lot more difficult than it might sound.
Just to fill folks in, it was a Piper Malibu plane, which is slightly more than 10 yards long, right? That's about the right size?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You believe now that the plane is in the Red River. I'm told about 17, 20 feet underwater. Accurate or not?
Well, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's what we believe. And when we say that, we hadn't laid hands on the plane. We hadn't touched it. And until we do, we're not going to be satisfied 100% that it's there. But we're very confident that's where the plane's going to be located.
When you say confident, what leads you to that part? I understand you may have seen some fuel in the river. What else?
Yes, there was some fuel in the river. The coordinates that were given, Max Sharp, who is a private citizen, has a plane and has some capabilities on it that can actually pick up the from what I understand, the signal from the what's known normally as the black box, but the ping from that. The Bossier Sheriff's Office has a side scan on one of their marine units, and can give you a pretty good sonar picture of it if you think like fish finder type thing, in type of image is what I was trying to think.
Steve, you had mentioned that
we're reasonably certain that is there.
You had mentioned the pilot had radioed back to the tower that he was having engine trouble and turning back toward the field, toward the downtown airport.
Right.
How close did the pilot get to making it back compared to where you think the plane is?
Well, pretty, relatively speaking, in as the crow flies or the direct line, it was really close, really close. But that doesn't mean it was really close to making a safe landing. Had the pilot been able to make it there, because evidently he's lost a good bit of power, and so I'm getting into things I don't really know a lot because I'm not a pilot. But he almost made it back to where he had originated the flight.
The name of the pilot's out there, not officially yet though. But what can you tell us about this person? Local man. Was anyone else on the plane with him?
Well, from what I understand, I'm not going, as you know, not going to use names or anything like that. But yeah, I believe there were two people. I've met with two different families, and they're both competent. And as you would know, extremely upset and sad. And so I'm reasonably sure, just like the plane, just like the location of the plane. We as authorities, when you get to be an authority on something, and you don't lightly say something until you're 100% certain of it.
Mr. Steve,
that's why we're backing off of naming who it might be, or confirming that yes, the plane is there. Until we're absolutely certain.
You had mentioned the depth of the plane in the river. What equipment? Obviously divers to get to the bodies in the plane, but then what? How do you retrieve the plane? What sort of equipment is used to do that?
Well, we made the decision. I talked to Sheriff Whittington yesterday evening, and it was both of our decisions, as after conferring with our dive teams, that the river's too dangerous to send down the divers with the type of equipment that we have. It's too swift right now. It's extremely deep compared to what it normally is as far as the level of the river. And so we made the decision that it would most probably add tragedy to tragedy if we tried to rush down and do something. So we've contacted Denzel Blunt, who is a local person that has quite an operation on the river. And first thing this morning, he's headed to the location. It's going to take, because he's got to go up river against this tremendous current. It'll take 4 or 5 hours for him to get there, even though it's not that great of a distance. And from there, he'll have a large track hoe on one of his barges, and we will attempt, after he's reaching some commercial divers that have the appropriate equipment that will go down and actually hook to the plane. And then we'll get the plane. Hopefully it'll come out easily, hoisted onto a barge. At that time, we'll retrieve the loved ones. And then the boat will be stored until the federal folks get here and do what they got to do.
It was a tragic day. I know the conditions are horrible for you guys today. God bless you, and thank all the deputies and everybody that involved. It's a day like this when I thank God you guys are there.
Well, I appreciate all the work that all the first responders did, and if I didn't name any of them that were there, I apologize, but there were a lot of first responders.
Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate your time.